Hey there, welcome to Broken Load Order. Going to be trying something new today. We're going to be taking a look at the upcoming DLC for Total War, that being the Shadow and the Blade Lord Pack, and how that's probably going to affect the mod scene upon release. So with that, kick back and relax, and we'll take a look at it in today's episode of Off Topic Tuesdays.
Wow.
Alright, so I figure the best way to sort of break down this is going to be to look at it from the positive expectations, the negative expectations, and the stuff that we have just absolutely zero idea about. So with that said, we'll get started on a happy note, and we'll go over the good things we're expecting from this Lord Pack when it comes to the modding scene. Most obvious one to start with is that this is going to add in a lot more content for modders to play around with, right? So we've got the new Bloodrack Medusa, we've got Poison Wind Globadier Mortars, we've got the Legendary Lords, the Generic Lords, all the extra units, right? This is going to give modders a lot more tools to actually play around with. So for example, like those of you who have played with the Ultimate Skaven mod know that that used to have an Assassin Lord as an option too, but unfortunately had to use generic options provided. Well, with this new DLC coming out, of course, you'll have new models and new skills and everything to work with, so the models will have a lot more tools available for them to add in additional stuff. Things I'm hoping for example, is to see something like the Blood Racks actually be made into hero options. I think would be kind of a cool one for them, but we'll see, sort of what the modding community gets down to once it's out and in the wild. Now, of course, that's the DLC side of things, but probably the more important side for the modding community is actually going to be the free LC and the update that comes out simultaneously with this. So, of course, we've already seen the free LC update. That's going to be Réponse de l'ANS and Henry le Massif. It remains to be seen whether or not those two will have unique qualifiers for them. So, for example, like Marcus Wolfhart, being from the Empire, when he was updated and brought into Total Warhammer 2, he got, new updated campaign mechanics and campaign win conditions. We haven't gotten word whether or not that's going to apply to Réponse de l'ANS. I would really hope so, because it'd be nice to have Bretonnia available as a Vortex campaign faction. The other side that's being updated, of course, is the free update that comes alongside. Now, one thing we've got that's already amazing to see is that the map is being expanded on the southeast side. So there's already quite a lot of hubbub about what this means for Total Warhammer 3, but even in Total Warhammer 2, this will give modders a lot more places to play around with and insert new factions and add in new things. The other thing that they're doing, which will be super handy for all modders, is they are apparently updating Mortal Empires on the engine side to reduce turn times significantly. Now, there is a lot of Mortal Empire mods out there, which, honestly, a lot of them can be somewhat aggravating to play because of how long end turn times take to complete. Now, CA has apparently said we can expect up to 40% reductions in those turn times, so if so, I mean, that'll make mods like, Strigoi, the new updated Empire ones from Mixu, Ordo Draconis, tons of Game 1 factions that would ordinarily be frustrating to play as. This might make a huge difference to them, so we'll have to see how that actually turns out when we get it to release. Now, while I'm super excited to see all the opportunities this opens up, I am also expecting this to be an absolute nightmare for my game when it's actually released. I would say more so than any other Legendary Lord pack we have ever seen. I am expecting this to cause huge compatibility issues. So right out of the gates, a lot of the things that we just set off as benefits will actually cause quite a few issues. So if Bretonnia does get a lot of updates, obviously any content that was based around Bretonnia as they were is going to immediately have some problems, right? So if they're given, new mechanics or new win conditions or any of that kind of stuff, things like, Blessings of the Lady or the Lords of Bretonnia, or Dukes of Bretonnia I should say, any of those kinds of stuff are going to start running into compatibility issues right out of the gates. The other big one, that's being the map update, is going to cause tremendous issues. I mean, I would say that probably a good half the content on the workshop is stuff that is based on Mortal Empires. I don't really know what the back end looks like, but if I was a gambling man, I'd say this is going to cause quite a few issues when it comes to things like new factions that have been added in, new start positions, anything that plays around with the map. Obviously I would expect to be broken immediately once this update goes live. So I guess we'll finish up on the unknowns then. There is quite a bit we don't know so far. So for example, that new territory that we all have seen, we don't know if anything's being moved around to take advantage of that in the Mortal Empires mode. So for example, a few people online have been questioning whether or not Archon the Black is going to be moving over closer to Negashishar, whatever it's called. We don't really have any confirmation or denial on that yet from CA. We don't know if there's going to be unique building chains off in these new territories. I mean, that could provide modders with some new tools and stuff. And of course, the other thing we don't know about is what this is going to do for mod compatibility. Like I said, I don't have particularly high expectations for this, but who knows, maybe CA already took it into account. Or the other option is that CA is often quite communicative with the modders. Perhaps a lot of them have already been updating their mods behind the scenes so that when this change does go live, it'll be a pretty smooth transition. You know, fingers crossed, but like I said, I'm planning for the worst. Can't wait to see what happens. Next week we'll be taking another look at what this might enable, but we will be talking about it from the perspective of new CA content rather than new mod content, so stay tuned for that. Hope you all enjoyed this. If you want to see more of it, or if you didn't like it at all, let me know in the comments below and we will adjust things accordingly. See you next time.